Yes, this is Everything, Everything, based on a young adult novel of the same title by Nicola Yoon, about a girl called Maddie Whitter who has a condition called severe combined immunodeficiency, which requires her to live in a sterile house. She hasn't been outside since she's been diagnosed. She describes the condition, although there's an issue with this, which we'll come to, as being like being allergic to everything. So anything in the outside world that she touches could cause her immense medical problems. The character is played by Amanda Stenberg, who was Rue in the Hunger Games. I don't know if you remember one of the incidental characters. Right, so she plays the lead girl who is trapped in the house, Maddie. And all this existence that's sealed away from the world by her mother, who's Anika Noni Rose, who was the lead voice in The Princess and the Frog, is all very fine and well until next door a boy moves in called Ollie, who brings a breath of fresh air through this sealed off environment. And here they are conversing for the first time.
I like this room.
Yeah. My mom built it so that I could feel like I was outside.
Does it work?
Most days.
I mean, what would happen if you went outside?
Probably spontaneous combustion.
You'll stay inside.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Where would you go? If you could.
The ocean.
The ocean? Why?
Well, it covers 72% of the planet. And it's approximately 3 miles from here. And I've never seen it.
It's a bad choice.
Why?
I'm assuming you can't swim.
Yeah, you're right. But I'd like to try.
What's the condition called she's got?
Severe combined immunodeficiency.
Okay. Have you seen a 1976 film called The Boy in the Plastic Bubble that stars John Travolta and is directed by Rado Kleister, is it, who did Grease and Flight the Navigator?
I haven't seen it, but I know the one you mean.
This is a fantastic film. It's a great film.
Condition.
Same thing.
But you can see with this, it's given the young adult treatment. So she is basically the princess in the secluded tower. And here comes a dashing young knight to take her off and show her the world. Now, look, thwarted young adult romance with medical overtones, aspects to it, is The Fault in Our Stars, basically. But this is, it takes that format and boils it down to its absolute most rudimentary components. So this kid that moves in next door, Ollie, is supposed to be a bad boy. His bad behaviour extends to wearing a black t-shirt. Other than that, he is a perfect gentleman and someone who you'd be absolutely delighted for your daughter to fall for. And so the house itself as well is presented as being this very beautiful environment. And then, of course, there's an adventure that happens beyond that. To me, it felt like, at first, you're sort of scrolling through an interior design Instagram account, and then you're scrolling through a travel Instagram account. And that's the level on which the film is kind of interested in engaging with this story. It's all about, what can we, beautiful things, nice little pencil case laid out on the table and all this kind of stuff. And then later on, the journey carries on outside the house and other things happen. What's really interesting is that I was with it on that superficial level to a point.
Yeah.
And then the film does something to do with severe combined immunodeficiency, which to me completely cheapens everything that it's tried to be doing up until that point. It's difficult to explain without giving it away, but it's kind of like if it was about chronic fatigue syndrome, it turned out in the third act of the film that, she was just being lazy all the time. Now, that's not what happens, but the film asks you to invest an awful lot of emotion in Amanda Stenberg's character, and then kind of shows you that the way in which you've been invested in a character is a total waste. And at that point, I just checked out of the film completely. Now, some people might see it as being a really exciting plot development, but for me, it was absolutely the final enormous kind of tree trunk-sized nail driven in the coffin of this movie.
Performances?
Really, actually, generally quite bad. I think Amanda Stenberg is... she's very charismatic on screen. She is someone who it's fun to spend time with. And actually, there's some good chemistry between the two of them where there's a scene before they meet in person, which is in the scene that we heard in the clip. They text online, they exchange messages and stuff. And the film gets the tone of text conversations very, very right, because it imagines them being together in this model of a diner, which Maddie has built in her house. And it has them sitting on opposite sides of the table chatting to each other, and it's almost like young adult Screwball in that the dialogue is very kind of sparky and it's zapping back and forward, like WhatsApp group chats kind of do. So it gets that kind of tone of the interaction very well, but unfortunately, beyond really those two, there's not a lot for good actors like Anika Noni Rose to work with, and the supporting characters who are not particularly numerous anyway. There's a lot of sort of soap opera level gurning and simpering.